In the early hours of June 7, 1992, three women vanished without a trace from their home in Springfield, Missouri. No signs of forced entry, no witnesses, no answers. To this day, their fate remains one of America's most baffling mysteries. I'm your host, and you're watching Case Vault Channel. Join me as we explore the most bizarre, puzzling, and debated missing persons cases from around the world. First, we must meet the victims. The first woman to disappear was 47-year-old Sherrill Levitt. Sherrill was a mother of two who worked at a local factory inspecting and packaging medical supplies. She was a hard-working woman who was recently divorced and trying to rebuild her life. Her friends and colleagues described her as a dedicated single mother who always put her kids first. She was also known for her infectious laugh and her ability to light up any room with her warm smile. But underneath this bubbly exterior, Sherrill was going through a difficult time in her life. Her divorce was finalized just 2 months prior to the incident, and she was struggling to make ends meet while raising her two young children on her own. Despite these challenges, Sherrill remained positive and optimistic about the future. She had recently started dating a man named Paul and was looking forward to a romantic weekend away when suddenly everything changed. On the evening of June 6, 1992, Sherrill's daughter Suzie came home from college for a surprise visit. It was the first time she was coming home unannounced since starting her freshman year. Sherrill was overjoyed to see her daughter, and the two spent the evening catching up on each other's lives. Sherrill learned that Suzie had made the dean's list and was doing well in school. They also talked about Suzie's plans for the future, which included getting a job in marketing after graduation. Sherrill was so proud of her daughter and couldn't wait to see what the future brought to her. The next day, Sherrill took Suzie out for lunch at a local restaurant before dropping her back at the college. After Suzie left, Sherrill went to work as usual. Little did she know that it would be the last time she saw her daughter alive. Also joining them that night was another one of Suzie's friends, 18-year-old Stacy McCall. Stacy and Suzie had been close since middle school and were inseparable throughout high school. They shared a love for music, fashion, and dreaming up their future plans. Stacy was known for her infectious laugh and her ability to make everyone around her feel good. She was also very responsible and mature for her age, which made her a good influence on Suzie. Stacy's parents were very involved in the church and had raised her to be a kind and compassionate person. She was active in several community service projects and was planning to study nursing in college. After the long day of school, work, and running errands, the three women decided to take a break and have some fun. They headed over to Sherrill's house where they planned to watch some TV and relax. Sherrill was excited to have both her daughter and her friend over and enjoyed spending time with them. Little did she know that this would be the last time she saw either of them alive. Around 9 p.m., Sherrill received a phone call and told the girls she was going to step outside to talk. This was the last time anyone saw Sherrill, Suzie, or Stacy alive, and what happened next remains a mystery to this day. When Sherrill didn't return after a few minutes, Suzie went out to check on her, but she was nowhere to be found. The girls tried calling her phone, but it went straight to voicemail. They checked the backyard and the surrounding area, but she was nowhere to be seen. Concerned for her safety, the girls decided to call the police and report her missing. What they didn't know was that Sherrill's body would be found in a shallow grave in a nearby wooded area, just 300 yards from her home. But somehow her car was still parked in the driveway, and her purse and keys were left on the kitchen counter. There were no signs of forced entry, and nothing appeared to be stolen. It was as if she had simply vanished into thin air. As the investigation continued, it became clear that something was not right. Sherrill's friends and family were baffled by her disappearance and couldn't think of any reason why anyone would want to harm her. She was a beloved member of the community and had no known enemies. The police were also perplexed by the lack of evidence and the strange circumstances surrounding her disappearance. They were unable to find any witnesses or leads and were forced to release all three women as persons of interest, meaning they were no longer looking for them as suspects, but they weren't ruling them out either. June 6, 1992, was a Friday. The sun shone brightly over Springfield, Missouri, and the air buzzed with the energy of a summer evening. It was a typical day in this ordinary town, and for the women who called it home, it promised all the comforts of a relaxing weekend. The last person to see the Springfield Three alive was Stacy McCall's older sister, Cindy. Cindy had been hanging out with her father that evening, both enjoying some drinks and relaxation at their house. At around 7 p.m., Cindy drove home alone after dropping her dad off at his truck. She had no way of knowing that it would be the last time she ever saw her sister. When Cindy arrived home, she found Stacy already there, watching television. According to Cindy, Stacy told her she had just returned home with Suzie after finishing their final exams. The girls were planning to celebrate graduating high school the next day with a party at home. Everything seemed fine. After a while, Cindy went upstairs to get ready for bed, leaving Stacy downstairs watching TV. A few minutes later, Stacy yelled up to her sister that she was going to bed too. Cindy recalls seeing the front door open momentarily as she heard Stacy walk out of the house and into the driveway. But it was just for a second before Stacy came back in again and walked upstairs. For Cindy, this was a normal occurrence between sisters. Living in the same house, they often went to bed at different times, calling out to each other as they came and went. So Cindy didn't think anything unusual was happening. After falling asleep herself, she woke up around 3:30 a.m. to the sound of heavy footsteps walking up the stairs. Startled, Cindy looked out of her bedroom window, but the street below was empty. She thought maybe it was just animals until she realized she hadn't heard any barking from her dog, which was strange. Concerned, she got out of bed to investigate further. Calling out for her sister, Cindy went downstairs. The lights were off, but the front door was now wide open. She stepped outside to see if Stacy was in the yard, but the street was deserted. As the reality of what had happened began to sink in, Cindy quickly called 911. Her sister and presumably her best friend too were missing. In an instant, the quiet town of Springfield was thrown into chaos. What could possibly have happened to them? Had someone taken them away? If so, why did they leave the door open? Or had the girls simply run away? The police questioned Cindy, puzzled by the lack of signs of forced entry and the absence of any indication as to where Stacy and Suzie might have gone. There were no clues and no answers. The only thing connecting these three women was the word missing, scrunched up on their missing posters, taunting the community with its unspoken question, "Where are they?" As days turned into weeks and the media frenzy surrounding the Springfield Three reached fever pitch, the questions being asked grew more urgent. Where are they? Are they alive? And who would want to hurt them? Police investigators followed hundreds of leads, all of them leading nowhere. The case garnered statewide attention, but answers remained elusive. One crucial detail stood out. The killer or whoever had taken the girls had meticulously wiped away all traces of evidence. Fingerprints were missing, fibers, hair, even tire tracks from the street. It was as if they had vanished into thin air, taking all evidence with them. But how could someone do such a thorough job? Was this a carefully planned abduction or a spur-of-the-moment choice? Did the perpetrator live nearby and know the area well, making it easier to erase all signs of their presence? It was a mystery that seemed to have no end. Theories ran rampant across Springfield. Some believed the girls had joined a cult. Others thought they might have gotten into trouble with the wrong crowd due to Suzie's rebellious streak. However, none of these theories made sense given the girls' character and the lack of evidence to support them. The true story behind the Springfield Three's disappearance is one that has baffled investigators for decades. The sheer precision with which the crime scene had been cleaned pointed toward a professional, someone who knew exactly what they were doing. But who would go to such lengths? And why target these particular women? While the police were unable to uncover concrete evidence, rumors swirled throughout Springfield, creating a labyrinth of speculation that only served to deepen the mystery. The prime suspect in this case has always been a man named Gary M. Still, Gary was a convicted sex offender with a history of violence against women. He lived in the area and matched the general description of the man seen near the house at the time of the crime. But he had an alibi. The main piece of evidence pointing towards him was a bloody shoe found near the crime scene, which appeared to match Gary's. However, forensics at the time was far less advanced than it is today. DNA testing wasn't available, and the shoe, though similar, couldn't be conclusively tied to Gary. Without hard evidence, investigators were unable to build a solid case against him. Despite the lack of physical proof, many believed that Gary was involved somehow. His past criminal record, particularly his 1990 conviction for assaulting a woman in a manner strikingly similar to what the Springfield Three might have experienced, made him a person of interest. The similarities were too striking to ignore, leading many to believe that Gary could have been involved. However, in the absence of concrete evidence, he was never charged and remains just a suspect. Over the years, new leads and potential evidence have come to light, each offering a glimmer of hope only to lead investigators down another false trail. A psychic medium claimed to have communicated with Stacy, telling investigators she was trapped in an underground bunker in northern Arkansas. A tipster contacted the police, saying he'd seen the girls at a motel in Texas. Even a former cellmate of Gary's alleged that Gary had confessed to the crime, but none of these tips panned out. No bunker, no motel room, no confession. The investigation went cold. Decades passed, yet the Springfield Three case never faded from public memory. In fact, it only intensified. The story of these missing women became a touchstone for the entire country, representing the vulnerability of innocence and the enduring strength of family and friendship. Every year on June, the day they vanished, the town of Springfield comes together to remember them, to hold on to the hope that someday the truth will surface, bringing closure to the families and answers to the community. Whether they are alive or not, whether their voices can still be heard somewhere beyond our perception, remains an agonizing question. The Springfield Three case isn't just a local mystery, it's a national enigma. It's a puzzle whose pieces seem scattered to the wind, leaving us with more questions than answers. Was it a crime of passion, revenge, or something more sinister? The truth, buried under layers of deceit and hidden motives, continues to elude our understanding. This case serves as a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of seemingly idyllic communities. It's a chilling testament to the lengths of human depravity and the depths of despair that families can sink to. The legacy of the Springfield Three lives on, not just in the hearts of their loved ones, but in the collective consciousness of a nation. Their story echoes through the halls of American memory, a haunting melody that resonates with every unsolved disappearance. It's a tale that refuses to fade, a beacon that continues to shine a light on the shadows of our society. The Springfield Three may be missing, but their story is unforgettable. On the morning of June 7, 1992, a friend of Suzie Streeter arrived at her house on East Delmar in Springfield, Missouri. She was excited. That night, Suzie and their other friends were planning on going to the local water park to celebrate their graduation from Kickapoo High School. In total, 6 people were supposed to go. But when their first friend arrived, she quickly realized something was wrong. Not only was Suzie not there, but the front door was wide open and the porch light was broken. One of the glass globes had been smashed and some of the pieces were lying on the ground nearby. At first, she thought perhaps Suzie and her mom, Sherrill Levitt, had already left for the water park, so she called out for them. When there was no reply, she walked inside to wait for them. In total, 5 of Suzie's friends stopped by her house that morning, and all of them noticed that something was off. Nothing seemed to be disturbed. The purses of Suzie, her mother, and her best friend, Stacy McCall, sat on a shelf by the front door, along with the rest of their belongings. Their wallets, car keys, and packs of cigarettes were inside them. No drawers were open, and nothing was out of place. The only thing that seemed out of order was the broken porch light. But when they examined it, they saw that whoever broke it must have done so accidentally. It looked as though it had been knocked over rather than smashed intentionally. And to make matters even stranger, there were no signs of forced entry anywhere. All of the windows were intact, and the back door was locked. The friends began to wonder if Suzie and her mom had just gone out without telling anyone. Perhaps they'd run to the store for something or gone for a walk. Since no one could reach them, they decided to drive to the water park to see if they were there. But Suzie and her mother were nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, back at the house, Stacy's family began to worry. Her father, Mike McCall, called his wife, who was visiting her parents in another town, and told her that Stacy wasn't answering her phone or responding to their other friends. They decided to go to Suzie's house to check on her. On the way, they too noticed that the front porch light was broken. After discovering that the other friends were also searching for Stacy, they began calling around other family members and neighbors to see if anyone had seen her. As the hours passed, the friends and families continued to search for Suzie, Stacy, and her mother, but nobody had any luck finding them. With no other leads, the McCalls and Strickers drove to the local police station to report them missing. As soon as the officers heard the details of the case, they knew something was seriously wrong. Not only were there no signs of a struggle or forced entry, but Stacy's family said that she wouldn't have gone anywhere without telling somebody. And Sherrill Levitt was always responsible and would never have left her purse and car behind. The officers rushed back to the Levitt home and immediately noticed the same thing the friends had overlooked. Although the house appeared normal from the outside, something was clearly off. Once they entered, they discovered that the residents were missing several personal belongings, including the women's wallets, cash, cell phones, and jewelry. The investigators also learned that the family dog, a Yorkshire Terrier named Cinnamon, was still in the house, which was unlike her. She usually spent the night curled up on Sherrill's bed. Now she was pacing anxiously and whining. She hadn't eaten or drunk anything since the night before. When the police asked if the family had any enemies or if they knew of anyone who would want to harm them, Sherrill's brother-in-law, Paul Levitt, responded, "I can't think of anybody that would want to hurt them." Despite having no suspects, the police followed up on hundreds of leads in the coming weeks. Divers searched the lakes in the area. Investigators combed through old police reports to see if Sherrill or Suzie had any enemies. But as time went on, the case grew colder and colder. Then, 8 months later, the lead detective, Gary Farmer, got a call from a woman who wanted to remain anonymous. She told him that she had been driving around in the early hours of June 7, 1992, and she spotted a truck parked in front of the Levitt home. The next day, she saw the same truck driving down the road with a flat tire. The witness couldn't remember much else, but she was sure of the date and the fact that the truck was white. Since then, the detectives had received countless tips about the white pickup truck. Some claimed to have seen it near the Levitt home, while others had seen it abandoned on the side of the road. The problem was, none of the leads panned out. Then, on January 24, 1993, a hunter stumbled upon a broken tire rim in a rural area just outside of town. When he handed it over to the police, the forensic team discovered that it matched the description of the wheel from the mysterious white pickup truck. Could this finally be the break in the case that the police had been waiting for? Unfortunately, once again, they hit a dead end. The rim had been reported stolen from a junkyard a few weeks before the murders, meaning that it could have been sitting there for months. But despite these setbacks, the detectives remained hopeful. Paul Levitt, Sherrill's brother-in-law, told the media, "I think they're going to solve this. I really do. I think it's just a matter of putting the pieces together now." Sadly, he was wrong. Over the next 2 decades, the case grew cold. The police followed every possible lead, but no suspects were ever identified. Paul Levitt stayed active in searching for justice for his family, but the other friends and relatives eventually gave up hope. He told the Daily Mail, "After a while, everybody kind of forgot about it. It hurts me. It really does. I mean, they've got a right to know what happened to their loved ones. To me, that would be devastating. It still is. But the fact that nobody knows drives me crazy." So what actually happened to Sherrill, Suzie, and Stacy? While there are some theories, the truth is that nobody knows for sure. Let's take a look at the most likely scenarios. Theory 1. A stranger. In 1992, Springfield, Missouri was a quiet, suburban town. Violent crimes were rare, and the police had no record of Sherrill, Suzie, or Stacy having any enemies or dealing with dangerous individuals. This makes it unlikely that a random killer chose their home for whatever reason. It's also strange that a criminal would have taken the time to leave their valuables behind. Theory 2. Suzie invited them over. According to Stacy's family, her friend Suzie was experimenting with drugs around the time of their disappearance, and she invited Stacy over to buy some from her. When Stacy refused, Suzie insisted that she come anyway. Then, while they were inside the house, Suzie brought over some men she knew were dangerous. In a panic, Sherrill intervened and tried to protect her daughter and her friend. But Suzie's friends overpowered them and forced them into the truck. This would explain why the women were missing and why their belongings were left behind. However, the police have never confirmed that Suzie was involved in drugs, let alone that she had any accomplices waiting in the truck. Theory 3. A crime of passion. At the time of the murders, Sherrill was married to Charles Levitt, Suzie's biological father. Although they were divorced, they had been arguing over child support for some time. Some believe that Charles, who had a history of violence, could have killed his ex-wife and his daughter and taken Stacy's life to cover up the crime. Others speculate that Suzie had a secret boyfriend who was jealous of her mother. In this scenario, the two lovers could have killed Sherrill and Suzie and taken Stacy with them in a fit of anger. But there is one major problem with this theory. Neither Charles nor Suzie had any known enemies. Even the police admitted this, saying that there was no indication that they were involved with dangerous people or that anyone would want to hurt them. To this day, Sherrill, Suzie, and Stacy's bodies have never been recovered, and no one knows exactly what happened to them. Paul Levitt told the Daily Mail, "Every day I look at the sky and I ask why. I'll never understand why." The case remains open, and anyone with information is encouraged to contact the Springfield Police Department. It's been 48 years since the puzzling disappearance of the Springfield Three shook the nation. But how did we get here? What went wrong? Why is this case still unsolved? Join us as we explore the troubled history of the investigation. From the very beginning, the investigation into the Springfield Three was plagued with problems. On the morning of June 7th, worried friends and relatives entered the Levitt home before police had arrived. They swept up broken glass from the porch light, moved items around, and even answered calls on the house phone. One of those calls was especially disturbing, a crude, harassing message from an unknown man. Instead of being preserved, the message was accidentally erased. By the time police officially secured the house, whatever evidence may have existed was already compromised. On June 7, 1974, early morning tranquility settled over Springfield, Missouri. In the Levitt household, routine was about to be shattered forever. Sherrill Levitt, a devoted wife and mother of two, prepared for her day, unaware that it would be the last one of her life. She stepped outside to turn on the porch light, a chore she completed every morning. Suddenly, a violent crash echoed through the neighborhood, shattering the glass in the light fixture. Startled, Sherrill screamed. At that moment, her two best friends, Suzie Streeter and Stacy McCall, were just a few houses away, preparing to attend a Bible study class. Hearing Sherrill's scream, they turned toward the sound and vanished without a trace. The news of their sudden disappearance sent shockwaves through the tight-knit community. As hours passed without a trace of the women, fear began to grip Springfield. Where could they be? What had happened? Was this a random crime or something more sinister? The police force sprang into action, launching a massive search operation. Every available officer was deployed, combing through the neighborhood, questioning potential witnesses and following up on any lead, no matter how small. The investigation was extensive, but frustratingly, the deeper they dug, the fewer answers they found. The mystery deepened, casting a shadow of uncertainty over the entire community. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the case grew colder. Theories abounded, but hard evidence remained elusive. Then came the psychics. Desperate for answers, some turned to the paranormal, hoping for a breakthrough. Their visions were intriguing, pointing to locations that were then meticulously searched, only to come up empty. These attempts, while well-intentioned, only added to the enigma, creating more questions than they answered. In the years that followed, the case of the Springfield Three continued to captivate the public's attention. Despite the efforts of law enforcement and the community, the mystery of their disappearance remained unsolved. The lack of concrete answers left a void filled by speculation and rumors. One such rumor centered around a potential suspect, Robert Craig Cox, a convicted kidnapper and murderer. His history raised suspicion, but despite the scrutiny, he was never formally charged in connection with the case. Adding another layer to the complex narrative, Cox later claimed that the women were dead, stating that their bodies would never be found. He hinted at a horrifying truth, suggesting that their remains might lie beneath a local parking garage. This revelation came as a shock, raising hopes that the mystery might finally be solved. However, despite ground-penetrating radar tests conducted in the area, no conclusive evidence of the women's remains has ever been found. As the years rolled by, the Springfield Three case continued to elude resolution. Each passing decade brought a new wave of investigators with fresh perspectives, yet the puzzle remained stubbornly unsolved. The case became a part of Springfield's collective memory, a haunting reminder of the town's darkest mystery. Now let's delve deeper into the perplexing details that turned this case into a nightmare for investigators. From the outset, the Springfield Three investigation faced a significant hurdle. On that fateful morning, before law enforcement officials could secure the Levitt residence, a number of people entered the house. Acting out of concern or perhaps driven by morbid curiosity, they inadvertently compromised the crime scene. The disruption not only tainted the physical evidence, but also raised questions about the integrity of the investigation. The presence of outsiders not only complicated the collection of forensic evidence, but also introduced a new set of variables that could have potentially skewed the initial findings. This contamination of the crime scene made the subsequent recovery of physical evidence, such as fingerprints or DNA, extremely challenging. Moreover, it raised doubts about the reliability of any evidence that was collected, making it difficult to establish a clear timeline of events or identify potential suspects. The accidental erasure of a threatening phone call from the Levitt residence compounded the problem. This crucial piece of evidence could have provided valuable insights into the motive behind the crime or the identity of the perpetrator. The inability to preserve and analyze this evidence further limited the scope of the investigation. The loss of such tangible links to the crime not only frustrated investigators, but also deprived them of potential leads that could have advanced the case. Another critical challenge in the Springfield Three investigation was the lack of physical evidence. The absence of fingerprints, blood, or any signs of forced entry created a significant obstacle for forensic experts. Without these conventional forms of evidence, investigators were left with few concrete clues to work with. The absence of physical evidence made it difficult to establish a connection between any particular person or object and the crime scene. This lack of tangible evidence not only hampered the ability to link suspects to the crime, but also made it challenging to reconstruct the sequence of events that transpired that morning. In the absence of forensic support, investigators were left largely reliant on circumstantial evidence and witness testimony, which can be more subjective and open to interpretation. However, it wasn't just the absence of physical evidence that posed a challenge. The existence of misleading or false evidence further complicated the investigation. False leads and misinterpretations diverted the focus of investigators away from potential areas of interest or suspects. This diversion of resources and attention not only wasted valuable time and effort, but also had the potential to overlook crucial pieces of information that could have advanced the case. But perhaps one of the most perplexing aspects of the Springfield Three case is the conflicting accounts and theories that have emerged over the years. From suspicious vehicles to alleged sightings, the abundance of anecdotal information has created a labyrinth of confusion. Eyewitnesses reported seeing a suspicious van in the vicinity of the Levitt home around the time of the disappearances. While such accounts provide an intriguing lead, the lack of concrete evidence or verifiable details has made it challenging to pursue these sightings effectively. The consistent description of a strange man lurking in a van has solidified this image in the public's perception, turning it into one of the most enduring theories surrounding the case. Yet the absence of solid evidence has prevented investigators from definitively linking any particular vehicle or individual to the crime. Adding to the complexity of the investigation are the numerous unconfirmed reports claiming to have spotted the missing women in various locations across the country. These alleged sightings, often based on eyewitness accounts, have generated hope only to dash it against the rocks of uncertainty. Without concrete evidence to substantiate these claims, each lead has ultimately run cold, leaving investigators no closer to the truth. The possibility that the women may have willingly left Springfield with someone they met or chosen to start a new life elsewhere has also been considered. This theory, while challenging conventional notions of the case, highlights the complexities involved in investigating a disappearance where motive and intent remain unclear. To make matters worse, several individuals have come forward claiming to possess vital information about the case, only to provide accounts that contradict each other or offer vague and unverifiable details. This conflicting information not only adds layers of confusion, but also raises questions about the reliability of witness testimony. In the absence of corroborating evidence, these accounts have remained as tantalizing fragments of a larger puzzle, leaving investigators struggling to assemble the pieces. As the investigation unfolded, it soon became apparent that the lives of the three women were intricately connected, forming a web of relationships that extended throughout the Springfield community. Sherrill Levitt, the first to go missing, was a beloved resident known for her warm personality and dedication to her family and friends. Her disappearance sent shockwaves through the tight-knit social circles of Springfield, leaving a void that went beyond the physical absence of her presence. Suzie Streeter, a devoted mother and active church member, was remembered for her kindness and unwavering commitment to her faith. Her absence not only deeply affected her immediate family, but also sent ripples of sorrow through the local church community. Stacy McCall, a young mother and aspiring cosmetologist, was known for her infectious laugh and her dreams for the future. Her tragic disappearance robbed Springfield of a vibrant young spirit and left her family grappling with a future forever altered. Despite the close bonds that united these women, the investigation revealed a complex web of interpersonal relationships that added another layer of intricacy to their disappearance. Sherrill's husband, Mike, was a prominent figure in Springfield, serving as a police officer himself. This connection to law enforcement not only brought additional scrutiny to the case, but also presented unique challenges for investigators as they navigated the complexities of a high-profile case involving one of their own. Furthermore, the investigation uncovered a tangled web of personal relationships among the friends. The connections and interactions among the women, along with their families, created a network of individuals who were deeply affected by the disappearances. This intricate web of relationships not only highlighted the close-knit nature of Springfield, but also presented investigators with a complex puzzle of potential motives and connections. As the investigation delved deeper into the lives of the Springfield Three, it became evident that their friendships and associations were central to understanding the case. Despite thousands of tips, interviews, and searches, the investigation into the Springfield Three remains unsolved. The disappearance of Sherrill Levitt, Suzie Streeter, and Stacy McCall continues to baffle both police and the public, a mystery frozen in time. In Springfield, Missouri, their story echoes through the years, a haunting reminder of a crime that defies explanation. The case serves as a stark reminder of the limitations of law enforcement, the elusiveness of justice, and the enduring power of unanswered questions. On December 7, 1991, Sherrill Levitt, Suzie Streeter, and Stacy Smart headed to the Zone Bar in Springfield, Missouri for what was supposed to be a fun girls' night out. All three worked at the White River Nursing Home, and after a stressful shift, they were looking forward to a relaxing evening. They left the bar around 8 p.m., promising to call each other for a ride home. When their phone calls went unanswered hours later, friends and family began to worry. This is what we know. But as the hours turned into days and then weeks, the community was faced with an even more haunting thought. What if they never got home at all? Welcome back, everybody, to another episode. As the years passed and with no evidence to ground the investigation, the case of the Springfield Three became surrounded by theories. Some are logical, some chilling, and others border on urban legend. Yet each of them tries to answer the same haunting question: how can three women vanish without a trace? Theory number 1: abduction by someone they knew. First, let's examine one of the more widely accepted theories among those who closely follow the case: the idea that the women were taken by someone they knew. You see, the house showed no signs of forced entry, no broken windows, no damaged locks, suggesting the women likely let whoever entered the home inside willingly. This could mean they invited whoever was responsible for their disappearance in, perhaps thinking they were in no danger. Or it could have been someone they'd met earlier that evening. The women may have let in a friend, a neighbor, a casual acquaintance, and then, when they opened the door, they were overpowered and taken against their will. The lack of struggle fits too neatly with this scenario. After all, if they trusted the person standing on their doorstep, any struggle would have been minimal at best. Not only does this idea make sense from a logistical standpoint, but it also fits with the personal lives of the Springfield Three. Let's take a closer look at each of the women. Sherrill Levitt was a young mother who worked at the nursing home as a certified nursing assistant. She lived in the home she shared with her sister and 2 daughters. Despite her young age, she had already faced challenges, including a difficult divorce. Sherry's friends describe her as kind, a little naive, but always willing to lend a hand. Suzie Streeter was known for her vibrant personality. Her close friends called her Little Bit, a nickname that reflected her small stature and big spirit. Stacy Smart, the third member of the trio, was the oldest at 23. At the time of her disappearance, she was going through a messy divorce. These details become crucial when examining the idea that the women may have been betrayed by someone they knew. A common thread runs through their stories, a vulnerability that could have been exploited by someone willing to prey on it. Did someone they trusted lure them into a false sense of security before taking advantage of them? Could it have been an acquaintance who offered them a ride home, or a casual friend with ulterior motives? The thought is unsettling. The idea that one of the last conversations the women had was a friendly exchange that ended with them inviting their betrayer into their home. If this theory is true, the person responsible must have carefully crafted a facade of trustworthiness, and then, with a sinister plan in mind, they waited for their moment to strike. Theory number 2: a crime of opportunity. On the other side of the spectrum, we have a more conventional theory: the random crime of opportunity. Perhaps a stranger entered the home with malicious intent. But while this theory seems plausible, it quickly begins to unravel under scrutiny. Typically, crimes of opportunity are messy affairs. Homes are ransacked, valuables are stolen, items are broken. But when the police arrived at the home of the Springfield Three, they found no sign of a struggle, no disturbed rooms, no stolen items. Their money, their cigarettes, their purses were still there. Even their cars were left outside untouched. It doesn't seem like the work of a random intruder. Instead, it reads like a planned operation. Every decision made by the perpetrator points to precision, a methodical approach that undermines the theory of a chance encounter. The killer was not only willing to enter the home, but they knew how to navigate it without triggering an alarm. They knew where to find valuables and where to leave them undisturbed. It's almost as if they knew exactly what they wanted and how to get it without causing chaos. This level of control makes the crime feel personal, targeted, suggesting that whoever was responsible had more than just robbery in mind. Theory number 3, a cover-up. So far, we've examined theories that place the blame on someone the women knew or on a random criminal. But what if neither of these theories is correct? What if the disappearance was orchestrated by multiple people working together? This idea hinges on the idea of a cover-up, suggesting that the real crime is hidden beneath the mystery of the missing women. Proponents of this theory believe that whatever happened to the women, it was so heinous that powerful forces were involved in hiding it. The Springfield Three didn't just disappear, they were made to disappear. This theory aligns with the meticulous nature of the crime. The house showed no signs of forced entry. The killers knew the area well and left no trace of their presence behind. They covered their tracks so thoroughly that even the most obvious pieces of evidence were meticulously removed. But what could be so heinous that it required such drastic measures? And who would benefit from the women's disappearance? Answers to these questions remain elusive, leaving this theory as a mere whisper in the wind. Theory number 4, Robert Craig Cox. Robert Craig Cox is a name synonymous with the Springfield Three case. His history of violence and alleged connections to the women make him a prime suspect in the eyes of many. At the time of the women's disappearance, Cox was living in Springfield. He had a violent criminal past, including a kidnapping conviction and suspected involvement in murder. Years later, he made chilling statements in interviews, saying outright that he knew what happened to the Springfield Three. He claimed their bodies would never be found and that he alone could reveal the truth. However, when pressed, Cox refused to give details, saying he would only speak about it once his mother had passed away. Despite thorough investigations, police could never connect him directly to the women. His knowledge of the case, however, remains a puzzle piece that doesn't quite fit. If he knows what happened, why has he never revealed it? Is he taunting the public or genuinely waiting for his mother's death? The passage of time has only intensified the mystery surrounding Cox and his connection to the Springfield Three. His past, his statements, and his refusal to cooperate have cemented him as a person of interest. Although he cannot be definitively linked to the case, the shadow of suspicion still lingers. Theory number 5, the parking garage. Now let's dive into the most enduring and controversial urban legend associated with the Springfield Three case, the parking garage theory. Around the time of the women's disappearance, Springfield was undergoing a massive construction project, building a new parking structure downtown. Over the years, various individuals have come forward claiming to have evidence that the women's bodies are buried beneath the parking garage. Psychics, amateur sleuths, and even some with law enforcement ties have all echoed the same chilling sentiment. Their remains are there. Adding fuel to this fire, ground-penetrating radar scans conducted by a private investigator in 2006 seemed to detect anomalies in the concrete slab. These anomalies were consistent with human remains, leading many to believe that the parking garage held the long-sought answers. Hope surged through the community. Could this be the break in the case that everyone had been waiting for? Unfortunately, the ensuing excavation turned up nothing conclusive. Authorities cited safety concerns and the high cost of further exploration as reasons for not proceeding. Critics of the investigation argued that the potential payoff, closure for the families of the missing women, outweighed the risks. The lack of answers only deepened the mystery and led to the persistence of this theory. Despite several attempts to unearth the truth, literally, the Springfield Three remain missing, and the parking garage continues to stand as a silent, unanswering witness to the tragedy. The enduring legacy of the Springfield Three. The Springfield Three case remains one of the darkest chapters in American true crime history. The disappearance of Sherrill Levitt, Suzie Streeter, and Stacy Smart continues to haunt the town of Springfield, Missouri, and the rest of the country. Despite numerous theories, no conclusive answers have ever been found. But the impact of this case goes beyond the unanswered questions. It reflects the vulnerability of everyday people, the darkness that can lurk beneath seemingly ordinary lives, and the depths of evil that exist in our society. This case serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the relentless pursuit of justice in the face of the unknown. The legacy of the Springfield Three lives on, not just in the annals of crime, but in the hearts of those who yearn for answers. And as long as the truth remains hidden, their story will continue to captivate and terrify us. Over 30 years ago, a mother, a daughter, and a friend vanished from their hometown, leaving behind a legacy of fear, mystery, and unanswered questions. Their disappearance cast a long shadow over Springfield, a quiet town that would never be the same. Now let's explore the events surrounding the mysterious disappearance of Sherrill Levitt, Suzie Streeter, and Stacy McCall, and delve into the eerie theories that still circulate today. It was a typical day in the tight-knit community of Springfield when suddenly 3 women were reported missing. Each of them had been last seen leaving work around 5 p.m., only hours before they vanished without a trace. The absence of any leads or clues deepened the mystery surrounding their whereabouts. The community was shaken, grappling with the realization that such a horrific event could occur within their seemingly peaceful town. As days turned into weeks, the hope of finding the missing women alive began to dwindle, replaced by the grim reality that something terrible might have befallen them. The absence of answers left a gaping hole in the community, fostering fear, speculation, and an unyielding determination to uncover the truth. Now let's take a closer look at the timeline of the case, beginning with the fateful day the women went missing. On November 13, 1992, Sherrill Levitt, a devoted wife and mother of 2, completed her shift at the Sunshine Foods grocery store. She had recently received a disturbing anonymous phone call suggesting that she should not come to work the next day. However, she dismissed the threat and continued with her evening routine. Around the same time, Suzie Streeter finished her work at the Murphy Center for Children with Learning Disabilities. Known for her warm smile and dedication to her job, Suzie was well liked by both colleagues and parents of the children she worked with. Meanwhile, Stacy McCall concluded her shift at the nearby J.C. department store. Stacy was known for her outgoing personality and was actively involved in the church choir. Little did anyone know that this would be the last time they were seen alive. As night fell and the 3 women failed to return home, their families grew increasingly concerned. Search parties were organized, friends and neighbors joined the frantic hunt, and the local authorities were alerted. Despite the massive search effort, there was no sign of the missing women or their vehicle. The days that followed brought a heavy dose of reality as hope began to fade and the grim possibility of foul play emerged. Over the next few months, several theories were proposed, but none could definitively explain what had happened to them. Had they encountered a crazed abductor? Were they the victims of a random crime? Or was there a more sinister force at play? The Springfield Three case baffled investigators from the outset due to the sheer volume of potential leads and the lack of concrete evidence. One of the most perplexing aspects of the case was the fact that all 3 women disappeared without a trace, leaving behind no clear indication of their whereabouts. This stark absence of clues made it challenging for investigators to piece together what had transpired, fueling speculation and hindering progress in the investigation. A key piece of evidence was the discovery of Sherrill's abandoned vehicle found on December 4, 1992, almost a month after she disappeared. The car was located in a parking garage near the apartment complex where Sherrill resided, adding another layer of complexity to the case. The lack of physical evidence linking the 3 disappearances together initially led investigators to treat each case separately, focusing on Sherrill, Suzie, and Stacy individually. However, as time passed and the connections between the cases became clearer, a different approach was needed. A crucial aspect of the investigation revolved around a series of anonymous phone calls received by family members of the missing women. These cryptic calls offered glimpses into the minds of those responsible, yet provided more questions than answers. For instance, Sherrill's sister-in-law, Pam, received a concerning phone call from someone claiming to be Sherrill. The voice on the other end of the line sounded distressed and pleaded with Pam to contact the police. Another puzzling phone call was directed to Stacy's husband, who was informed that his wife was in Kansas City. These enigmatic messages added an eerie twist to the case, suggesting that the women may have been targeted deliberately. Throughout the investigation, numerous potential suspects were identified, but none could be definitively linked to the disappearances. Law enforcement officials pursued every lead, conducting extensive background checks and questioning individuals who had come into contact with the missing women. Yet despite their efforts, the web of clues proved to be elusive, offering tantalizing hints, but leading to dead ends. The passage of time only served to deepen the mystery, leaving investigators and the public alike to grapple with the haunting possibility that the truth may never be uncovered. One of the most prominent theories surrounding the Springfield Three case revolves around a suspect named Paulinho Silva. Silva, who had a criminal record, was reportedly in the area at the time of the disappearances and was known to frequent the same establishments as the women. However, despite being a person of interest in the case, he was never formally charged. Another intriguing lead pointed towards the possibility that the women may have been the victims of a serial killer. At the time, law enforcement officials were investigating a series of similar cases in the region, leading to speculation that a single perpetrator could be responsible for multiple abductions. This theory gained traction due to the similarities in the cases, but concrete evidence linking a serial killer to the Springfield Three remains elusive. The Springfield Three case continues to captivate the public imagination, inspiring numerous theories and speculations over the years. One particularly bizarre theory suggests that the women were abducted by an underground organization known as the Illuminati. This far-fetched notion stems from the belief that the disappearances were part of a larger conspiracy involving powerful individuals or groups with sinister motives. While there is no credible evidence to support this theory, it persists in some circles as a way to explain the seemingly random nature of the crimes. Another popular theory proposes that the women may have encountered extraterrestrial beings, suggesting that they were taken against their will by aliens for unknown purposes. This outlandish idea finds some basis in the alleged recovery of strange materials found near the parking garage where Sherrill's car was discovered. Proponents of this theory claim that these materials could provide evidence of extraterrestrial involvement, although mainstream scientists have dismissed them as mundane or inconclusive. Amidst these various theories, a quieter but equally compelling narrative has emerged. Many believe that the truth lies in a tragic, albeit mundane, explanation. Could the disappearance of the Springfield Three have been the result of a botched robbery, a moment of irrational violence, or a dark secret lurking within the close-knit community? The absence of concrete evidence has allowed this theory to flourish, leaving the true nature of their fate shrouded in mystery. As the years go by, the legacy of the Springfield Three endures, not just as an unsolved case, but as a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the complexities of human behavior. While the truth of what happened to these three women may forever remain elusive, their absence continues to shape the town of Springfield and captivate the world of true crime. Today, the case of the Springfield Three stands as a stark reminder of the challenges faced by law enforcement in the pursuit of justice. The mishandling of evidence, including contaminated forensic samples, the lack of immediate action, and the failure to secure the crime scene promptly hindered the investigation from the outset. These missteps not only wasted valuable time, but also allowed crucial evidence to be compromised. The emotional toll on the families and the community cannot be overstated. The agonizing uncertainty of not knowing what happened to their loved ones has left deep emotional scars. The absence of closure has been a heavy burden to bear, compounded by the constant stream of theories and speculation that have circulated over the years. As we reflect on this haunting case, it is essential to remember the human element at its core, the lives that were lost, and the families that have been torn apart. The disappearance of Sherrill, Suzie, and Stacy serves as a somber reminder of the importance of justice and the need for accountability. It is a testament to the enduring power of a community coming together in the face of adversity. The people of Springfield have shown remarkable resilience and solidarity in their unwavering pursuit of the truth. They have organized vigils, supported each other through the years, and refused to let the memory of the missing women fade with time. In the realm of true crime, the Springfield Three case stands as a pivotal moment, shaping the way law enforcement approaches missing persons investigations. It has become a case study in the critical importance of evidence preservation, investigative protocols, and community engagement. Law enforcement agencies across the country have examined the missteps that occurred in the early stages of the Springfield investigation, learning from the mistakes to improve their own procedures. The establishment of standardized protocols, enhanced training, and the use of advanced technology have all been implemented to ensure that no stone is left unturned in the search for answers. As we conclude our exploration of the Springfield Three case, we are left with more questions than answers. The truth of what happened to these three women may forever remain shrouded in mystery. Yet their story has had a profound impact on our understanding of justice, accountability, and the unwavering spirit of those who seek the truth. As we remember Sherrill, Suzie, and Stacy, let us also honor the strength of their families, the dedication of the investigators, and the community that continues to stand united in the face of adversity. In the darkest of times, their story serves as a beacon of hope and a reminder that the pursuit of justice never ceases. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support means everything to us. Stay tuned for more captivating content and join us in exploring the intricate world of criminal psychology. Welcome back to another episode of our series where we take a look at some of the most mystifying unsolved cases from across the United States. Today, we're traveling to the heartland of America to revisit a case that continues to baffle investigators and haunt a community. The disappearance of the Springfield Three. It's a tale of three women, each with her own story, dreams, and place in the community, whose lives abruptly ended on a fateful day in 1992, leaving behind a legacy of questions that have echoed through the decades. Join me as we delve into the details of this unsettling case, exploring the lives of these missing women, the theories that have emerged, and the impact this tragedy has had on the town of Springfield. Imagine a typical night in a typical American town. The sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows across the streets. Homes are bathed in the warm glow of evening lights, and the air is filled with the sounds of crickets and distant laughter. This was the scene in Springfield on May 1992, a quaint, quiet community nestled in the heart of America, seemingly untouched by the harsh realities of life elsewhere. In the early hours of that morning, a terrible darkness descended upon this tranquil town, shattering the illusion of safety and leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions that continue to echo today. In this peaceful town, three women embarked on their nightly routines, unaware of the horror that awaited them. Sherrill Levitt, a dedicated mother of four, had just moved into a new home with her partner, Terry. After years of struggle, she finally found a place where she could raise her children in relative peace. At 38 years old, Sherrill was brimming with hope for the future. Her dedication to her job at the Country Kitchen restaurant and her unwavering commitment to her children painted a picture of a resilient woman who had faced life's challenges head-on. Her partner, Terry, was employed at the nearby Grand Avenue nursing home, contributing his time and care to those in need. Their shared dream of creating a stable, loving environment for Sherrill's children made their new home a symbol of hope and resilience. Across town, 17-year-old Stacy McCall, the youngest daughter of Sherrill, was celebrating the end of another typical day. Having just graduated from high school, she was filled with anticipation for the future, eager to explore the possibilities that lay ahead. Stacy's spirit was matched by her 20-year-old sister, Suzie Streeter, who worked as a waitress at Moore's restaurant. Suzie was known for her infectious laugh and her ability to light up any room she entered. With her vibrant spirit and dreams for the future, Suzie represented the essence of youth, full of life and boundless energy. As the night deepened, these three women, each at different chapters of their lives, prepared for bed, unaware that this would be the last time they would tuck themselves in. The next morning, a chilling discovery shattered the tranquility of Springfield. Terry, Sherrill's partner, awoke in their new home to find her and his stepson missing. He recounted how he had retired to bed at around 10 p.m., while Sherrill had mentioned she would join him later. When he awoke, he discovered that she and her youngest daughter had vanished. The house showed no signs of forced entry, and Terry immediately contacted the local authorities, setting off a chain of events that would shock the nation. Stacy's mother, alarmed by her prolonged absence, called the Springfield Police Department to report her missing. Simultaneously, friends grew increasingly worried when Suzie failed to show up for her shift at the restaurant. As the day wore on, the quiet town of Springfield transformed into a hub of anxious activity. Friends, neighbors, and family members scoured the town, their voices echoing with worry as they searched for answers. But as the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the town, it became clear that something was terribly wrong. By nightfall, the Springfield Police Department had launched a full-scale investigation, but the pieces of the puzzle seemed to be deliberately scattered. There were no witnesses, no obvious leads, and no answers. The town of Springfield was gripped by fear. Residents who once strolled the streets with carefree abandon now bolted their doors and peered cautiously from behind curtains. The innocence of the community had been shattered, replaced by suspicion and anxiety. Whispers replaced birdsong as people tried to make sense of the baffling disappearances. Every day that passed without answers only fueled the fire of speculation. Had the women met with foul play, or had they simply vanished without a trace? The police pursued numerous leads, but each seemed to lead them further into a maze with no exit. Time, the relentless enemy of hope, ticked away. Weeks turned into months, and still there was no sign of the Springfield Three. The once tight-knit community was fraying at the edges, bound together by grief and uncertainty. The case became a haunting presence that lingered over every gathering, every shared glance, and every unspoken question. As the years rolled by, the intensity of the search waned, but the ache in the hearts of the families remained constant. Now, almost 3 decades later, the Springfield Three remain missing. The pain of their absence has not dulled with time. Instead, it has hardened into a quiet, persistent sorrow that resonates through the lives of those left behind. The dreams, hopes, and ambitions of 3 vibrant individuals were cut short, leaving behind a profound sense of what could have been. The enduring mystery of their disappearance has kept their spirits alive in the minds of their loved ones and the community. They are remembered not just as victims of a terrible tragedy, but as integral parts of a community, their laughter, their dreams, and their lives forever etched in the collective memory of Springfield. As we reflect on the tragic case of the Springfield Three, we're confronted by a haunting reality. Sometimes the darkness that envelops a community is not just a passing shadow, but a profound, enduring scar. The disappearance of Sherrill, Stacy, and Suzie not only shook the foundations of their town, but also left an indelible mark on the annals of American true crime. Their story is a somber reminder of the fragility of life and the tenacity of unanswered questions. The bravery displayed by the families in the face of such profound loss is truly commendable. Their strength and resilience serve as a beacon of hope amidst the darkness, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. In the absence of closure, they have shown remarkable tenacity in keeping the memory of their loved ones alive, ensuring that their stories are told and their spirits are honored. The impact of this case transcends the immediate pain and suffering. It reflects a broader societal anxiety, a fear of the unknown that lurks beneath the surface of everyday life. In a world where safety is often taken for granted, the Springfield Three serves as a stark reminder of how quickly that security can be breached. This case has left an enduring legacy, not just in Springfield, but across the nation. It has sparked countless discussions about personal safety, the vulnerabilities within seemingly secure communities, and the limitations of law enforcement in the face of elusive mysteries. As we ponder the enduring impact of the Springfield Three, we are left with a profound sense of empathy for the families who continue to seek answers, a community that grapples with unresolved fears, and a nation that mourns the loss of innocence. The story of the Springfield Three is more than a local mystery. It's a national enigma that mirrors our collective anxieties and vulnerabilities. It compels us to confront the darker aspects of our society and to stand in solidarity with those who have been silenced. Their story echoes the timeless human quest for truth and closure, a testament to the indomitable spirit that refuses to be extinguished by the shadows of uncertainty. As the investigation continues and new leads emerge, our hope for resolution persists. With each passing year, the desire for justice and closure grows stronger, uniting the community and the nation in a common pursuit of the truth. Perhaps one day the darkness that has shrouded Springfield will lift, revealing the answers that have eluded the grasp of justice for so long. If you find yourself captivated by this chilling tale, I invite you to share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Your insights might offer a new perspective or potentially shed light on aspects of the case that have remained shrouded in mystery. Additionally, if you've been touched by similar experiences or have information that could be relevant to this ongoing investigation, please don't hesitate to reach out to the appropriate authorities. Even the smallest piece of information could prove to be a significant breakthrough in unraveling the complexities of this enduring enigma. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the haunting case of the Springfield Three. If you're keen on staying connected for more captivating true crime stories, I encourage you to subscribe for updates on our latest episodes. Before we part ways, I urge you to embrace the power of unity. In the face of adversity, come together to support one another. Reach out to your friends, your community, and your loved ones. It's in the bonds of love and unity that we find the strength to overcome life's darkest moments. Stay safe, stay connected, and until next time, may you find solace in the warmth of human connection.